Well, thanks to all the panelists for being here this afternoon. Especially thank Commissioner Walter for coming from the real Washington to Washington, D.C. Always a pleasure to see you. You know, one of the great things about being on this committee is they're very interested in rural economic health, and certainly what most of the largest fire in the state of Washington happened to occur in my district last summer that you referred to, and we've seen a lot of impacts on the economic health of rural communities throughout central Washington because of that. And I guess, not to mean this as a softball question by any means, but Commissioner Walter, could you help us understand and describe some of the challenges that counties face when such a large catastrophic fire occurs and devastates national forests, and with the difficulty of salvaging some of the trees that burn on that land, and just lead us through a little bit of those impacts?
Yeah, sure. Appreciate that question. You know, of course, in the summer, and we're coming up on another dry summer, anticipating we're going to have large fires again. Chelan County, as well as Okanagan County, were important recreational areas for the larger populated areas of the state, and we like that. You know, we like to have them come and recreate. But that is threatened when we have these huge fires. They don't want to come and have the smoke. And all it takes, whether, you know, the fires in Okanagan County or Chelan County or Yakima County, is one fire on the east side of our state, and they think the whole east side's burning up.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's devastating not only to the local residents, but to that recreation economy. We have Lake Chelan, we have Leavenworth, the other part of it is after the fire, we get the bear restoration, which the Forest Service comes in and addresses basically the impact they've had doing their fire suppression. But we're left in the counties of having all of the values that are held by all of our constituents threatened, whether it's recreation, hunting, clean water, you know, you name them. We're having thunderstorms now, and we're having flooding coming down from these burned areas. So it puts strains on our resources at the county level to deal with that, as well as, like I said, all those values that people hold dear, whether it's, you know, the lost timber or the recreational opportunities, hunting and fishing. They're all threatened by that. And my local constituents, when I'm a county commissioner, you know, I get elected by a party and you know, group of constituents, but I represent everybody. I represent all those interests, whether they're the environmental interests, the recreational interests, or their timber industry interests. And I'm, quite frankly, really frustrated by the lack of activity and the process. What we need to address the funding, and we need to address the process. You can't do one without the other. And you know, we really do have to change the paradigm. On the Carlton Complex, Forest Service land, I think, was 35 to 40% of that fire. Only 250 acres got salvaged out of, you know, some 60, 70,000 acres. Well, that doesn't sound like much, and we can be critical of that. But the thing that's exciting to me about that is that's the first time, you know, in years that we've seen salvage on Forest Service lands after a fire. And why it happened is because we had the environmental interests and the timber industry sit down with the Forest Service and work through that categorical exemption in the Farm Bill and come to an agreement. And we actually had a sale that the timber company made profit on, and the results the environmental community is happy with. So I'm encouraged, even though it's a small acreage, that we've made some progress, and I would hope we can greatly expand the use of that tool.
Yeah, good.
Thanks.
Hope
I took up all your time.
Well, you did, but I appreciate your comments, and with that, I'll earn some credit and yield my time back, Mr. Chairman.